and welcome back to Grace in the Breaking. I'm Elizabeth Everett, your host. And today, we are going to talk about idols and impact. And also, for those of you viewing, I have this wonderful Ratchet to Righteous hat off of my website at graceinthebreaking.com for all of your Christian apparel needs. This fabulous stop, drop, and pray shirt. If you're interested in any Christian apparel options, please take a look at the website. All right, friends, we are imperfectly perfect. Jesus loves us no matter what. However, I'm going to raise a couple of questions today, and I want you to think about it. I want you to marinate on it, and I want you to realize and write down where you have placed idols in your life and the impact that they are having. If you haven't seen a significant impact thus far and you're able to identify them today, I can assure you that whatever you put above God will eventually destroy you. Idols destroy families, they destroy marriages, they destroy homes. There is nothing in this world that was meant to be put above God Himself. So we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. I'm not perfect. As my hat says, I went from ratchet to righteous. I'm sure I gave God a few giggles along the way. My heavens, He's been so patient with me. And He's been patient with you too. So you want to know what an idol is? It's any physical object, person, or concept that replaces God as the ultimate trust or devotion in a person's life. So when we talk about success, acceptance, money, career, are any of those few things resonating with you? What about your spouse, your children, admiration, manipulation, lust? Come on, friends, don't deny it. Something right there just triggered and sounded off an alarm in your ear. Now let's talk about how idols affect us. They destroy us. I am the perfect example of how idols shaped my life, how they burnt my marriage to the ground, and what it looked like trying to pick back up the pieces once I found God. How trajectories changed because of things that I found importance in. How those different passions, so to speak, or what I thought were passions, actually were shaping and molding me and pulling me away from God instead of closer. Because friends, let me tell you something. The enemy will use it all to keep you from walking into your calling. He will keep you from stepping into everything that he has for you. But I have news today. You can stop that. You can recognize it. And you can change your ways. There is not any overnight process. It's fixed. But the first step is identification. And then we go from there. So I want to read to you today Exodus 20, starting in verse 3. You shall not have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath and the waters below. You shall not bow down or worship them. For your Lord your God is a jealous God. What are the consequences of having idols? Well, divine punishment and being stuck. Anything that's keeping you from worshiping God, anything that you've become unequally yoked with, is pulling you from your promise. It's pulling for you from being in obedience and stepping into all that God has for you. So coming from a background of trauma, coming from a background of building walls, finally after marriage number 3, I had been so burnt and so hurt that I was bound and determined in my mind to rise up and prove everyone wrong. No matter what I had gone through, I was going to take the power back into my own hands. And this was the beginning of climbing up a hill that would eventually destroy me. Now, I was crushed and perplexed. I was broken, but that's when God met me in that pressing, in that season. So as I began to build my career in aesthetics, I was bound and determined to be the best of the best. There was nothing that was going to stand in my way. I was going to be financially stable for the first time in my life, and nobody was going to take that from me. Over the years, I had had so many things taken from me here, there, everywhere. Rejection, pain, hurt, people withholding. I was completely going after an acceptance. Guess what? That was the beginning of my idols. I mean, it's mind-blowing to believe what I was experiencing. But here's the kicker. Little did I know I was going on a journey that I didn't know I needed to go on to get to where I am here today. So, folks, you are not alone. If you've got some idols, we're going to break those today. We're going to reposition our lives at the feet of Jesus, and we're going to step up, step out, and move on. Are you ready? Let's go. So as the career into starting, I was throwing everything I had in. I was traveling about 90% of the time. I was covering as far as Iowa. Nothing was stopping me from being successful. I had just bought my first home all on my own. Like I said in a couple episodes before, I thought I was 10 foot tall and 7 foot wide. No one was going to break me down the way I had been broken down and escaped from a marriage. I was going to be stronger than anyone else. When this happened, I built up these walls. I had my kids 50-50 at that time. And when I had them, I was present. But when I didn't have them, man, I was working 24/7 building a legacy, or what I thought was a legacy. I was putting the importance into things that had no importance. Yes, they provided me shelter and food, etc., the basic necessities. But at the same time, it started tearing little pieces of me apart, tearing pieces of me that I wasn't going to be able to get back until I hit the rock bottom. Then I met husband number 4. Right in the midst, unhealed version, hop right in. He showed me a little bit of love to an unhealed and broken vessel that was building. What happened when that occurred was the beginning to the end. Now, I wasn't walking with Jesus. I knew who Jesus was. I'd been in church a little, and then there would be distractions and I would get pulled out. Definitely, Jesus was not my focus. It wasn't until many years later, when these idols had gotten so big and so strong, that everything started to fall apart. Now, like I said before, God has been very patient with me because there's a modern interpretation of idols. So this is anything keeping you from fulfilling His will. Do you have a social media addiction? I know several people that do. That's demonic. What other addictions do you have in your life? Are you addicted to people pleasing? Because I was. I wanted to please my husband number 4 so much that I sacrificed myself and took upon me weights and mantles that I was not meant to carry. So in the process of having an idol for self-acceptance, I was now putting an idol at work. So over the years, as this was going on, I was climbing the ladder. I had been offered promotions and I turned it down. You want to know why? Wasn't because I wasn't ready to be a regional manager, but it was because I knew that my bank account would reflect that. I had then let the money of making in sales become an idol. The more money I made, the more self-security I had, or so I thought at the time. Money was motivating me. It became my idol, which then spun off into creating my ex-husband as an idol. I was putting him on a pedestal that he could not live up to. I had taken on the mantle of the provider, which was an idyllic expectation of myself. I was the parent. I was seeking self acceptance from everyone else. All I wanted was praise. You want to know why I wanted it? Because I still had that spirit of rejection all over me. It consumed every bit of me, y'all. I was dying inside. So go on and raise your hand and tell me who has felt that way about something. When you get in your mind that you're literally going to have nothing to stop you from climbing to the top and being the best, at what point are you going to let it kill you? Because I'm going to tell you something. It will. It will radiate through you just like unforgiveness does. It will consume every part of your mind. No amount of money that you make will be enough. There will always be a justification of working harder, striving in your own strength that we're never meant to do. See, there's not usually just one idol in your life. There's multiple idols in your life. These expectations that I put on myself, those were idols too. Because like I said, the harder I worked, the more money I made, the more recognition I got. I was craving these things like I had to have them. If I didn't have them, I was a flat out mess. I was beating myself up one side and down the other. Is that resonating with you? Y'all, this is a real life story. This is telling the truth. The aesthetics industry is a beast of its own. Even self-image is an idol. I mean, later on, we'll get into how I literally had life-changing surgery because of word curses someone spoke over me, which later nearly killed me. So see, I'd had idols that I had brought because of unhealthy patterns. Again, I didn't know Jesus. But I'm going to tell you something, friends. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If God can save and redeem me, then he can definitely redeem you too. There is nothing that we've done or strayed too far from that his love doesn't bring us back. So as I began to continuously climb the ladder, I was winning awards left and right. I was bound and determined to be number one in my company. I won multiple awards every single year. I hit my number out of 12 and a half years every year. But the last year I was there, I came in at 98.5%. And I'm going to tell y'all, I felt like a failure. I beat myself up. Again, why is that? Because I had an idyllic revelation that being the best was the only way to be. I had put work so far above everything else for a couple of years that I would be present at things with my kids, but I was responding to text messages 24/7, emails. I would be at sporting events, but I wouldn't be fully there. I was always working. It was always about chasing that next dollar or making sure I answered that person so that they would know that I cared, or being there and even putting myself out there for situations that I didn't need to. I had no boundaries because of that idol. None. Work didn't care. I was just a number to them. When the market started shifting and things started changing at the company I'd been at for years, they don't care how long you've been there. They don't care what you've done or how much money you've given them. All they care about is the bottom dollar. They want to burn you out. They don't care. So when the realization came that it was all too much and it was affecting my life, my marriage, because I got greedy. See, greed will come off of money as an idol. Pride rears its ugly head as part of this process too. So let's imagine this little corporate lady that's been killing it. She's full of pride. Listen, I had an assistant and I didn't even give her props. I gave it to myself. Whoa. There's so many times that I felt such repentance and remorse. Like that little girl busted her booty for me. But I was so full of pride and self-acceptance and to rise to the top then I didn't even give credit where credit was due. And that was wrong. Wasn't until later on that God ripped that veil off my eyes and showed me. I remember when I said, you know what, I'm going to put boundaries up. Work is literally destroying my marriage. It had started causing issues because all I did was work. All I talked about was work. There was nothing that I could talk about with husband number 4 that wasn't work related. And he did not understand what it took to reach the level that I had gotten to. Listen, I was greedy about money, honey. I didn't want you to spend it. I was always worried we wouldn't have enough. When truly, we were in overflow. Nothing that I did or accomplished was done in my own strength. I had no idea at the time that it was God. But see, there's a lesson in all of this. When you start to put your faith and your hope in yourself, and you've built up and you're bucked up on this pride, man, God has a way of stripping it all down real quick. Getting too big for your britches? Hold on, because your legs might just be knocked right out from under you. Do you want to let that happen? Do you love your life, your family? But at what cost are you going to let success, pride, and greed take over? By into like year 4 of marriage number 4, I mean, we had started having issues. And it was over money of all things. I felt the pressure of being the provider and the pressure I had put on myself and the pride that I was wrapped up in. And I had an apathetic spirit about me that started being accusatory over things of him not providing and not stepping up and doing his part. Really? I was carrying every single mantle, but I had done it to myself. I'd put those weights on me. And as a woman, I was never designed to carry all that weight. So let's couple this now. He leaves, comes back. I'm taking everything on me. Now, honey, it takes 2 to tango. So an apathetic spirit is going to tell you when you have an idol that it's all you, it's all you, it's all you, it's all you. So people that come from traumatic backgrounds will be like, okay, it's all my fault. So you take on that too. So now how many spirits are we at right now talking about that come on from idols? Well, let's fast forward. When he was gone that second time, when I met Jesus, when I was plotting my demise, laying it all out, and I found God, I did make a vow to step back from working and not let it consume me. The work that I had done, the book of business that I had built, it was pretty self-sustaining with continuity of visiting my accounts. So I did pull back as God was softening my heart and repositioning me, made me realize the important things. I had repented and I craved to make him so happy that I was chasing that self acceptance and that admiration, another idol, from a human being instead of God. Y'all, there was constant warfare. I mean, constant. There was never any peace in this house. For the love of Jesus, we were a train wreck. I'll be the first to admit it. But with a repentant heart, I started putting him as an idol. Can you believe it? When I look back now, I can hardly believe it. Like I put him above family issues. I let things that he was doing control. Even though I was going one direction and chasing God, he was going another direction. I no longer wanted to be around things that God had put in my past. But can you imagine trying to people please someone so much that even when their words shift, and their narcissistic behavior rises up, that it's all your fault and you're not trying hard enough, etc., that you keep trying harder. So here we go with that cycle again. I was breaking off slowly from the idol of money and a job because it had nearly cost me my family. And in the repair moments and the momentum that I thought I was gaining in my own strength, all I cared about is how he felt or the affection that it would give me. Let me tell you something, guys. By this time, it was too late. Those idols had busted up and broke apart everything that I once held dear. There was no coming back. I mean, we tried, but let's face it, folks. You can't make someone change their ways. You can't make someone love you no matter how repentant or sorry you are. You can kiss their booties all day long and try to build them up with every word. But if it's not reciprocated and they don't want to change, it won't happen. This is how you stay stuck, folks. I probably honestly would have stayed stuck if God hadn't said, okay, here's enough, Elizabeth. Put your big girl panties on and do what I told you to do. So listen, this has not been an easy process of breaking off idols. A bank account for the longest has been my self-security instead of my self-security in the Lord. Being alone, y'all, this is big for me. I've always had someone, I've always jumped. They've always been an idol because I thought that I needed someone by my side, whether it was healthy or not. Does that sound like you? Are you hopping unhealed? I can guarantee there's idols at the base of that. So today, are you ready to evaluate your life? Are you ready to reposition your thoughts and your time? If so, let's do it together. I am a work in progress. Slowly but surely, day by day, pieces of the onion are continuing to be peeled off. I'm not perfect and I don't claim to be perfect, but I do want to be a daughter that my father is proud of. I do want to say words that resonate with you and help you have those aha moments. Because when you come and surrender to the Lord, the peace begins. The pruning begins, not to hurt you, but to free you. Y'all, the final surrender for me, stepping down from a corporate job and sitting with you here today, has been the most terrifying thing I've ever gone through. Honestly, my knees are still knocking, but I know that I'm walking in obedience. And slowly but surely, as God started to take away my favor at the job I had been at for so long, I had applied for another role and literally I was told by new management, you're not qualified. Y'all, that sent me into a tailspin last year. So I was like, God, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, how am I going to provide? How am I going to do this? What I didn't realize, God had been positioning for me everything all along to get through this time. I'd sold a house, I'd downsized, I'd paid off my car. Those were blessings that I didn't even recognize at the time. I went to another job and holy moly, that was a train wreck. I've never seen the amount of demonic witchcraft flying around that place. God made me so uncomfortable till one day he was like, okay, are you ready? Because it's either your sanity or it's peace. So which do you want? So I gracefully took all of the knowledge of being a leader there, how to treat people correctly, how to support them. And here I am now, standing before you, talking about things that are in your control to change, but you cannot do it alone. Did you hear me right? You cannot do it alone. But God, He's always with you. Always. He never leaves you. So today, I'm going to leave you with this. Write a list. What are the idols in your life? I want you to really reflect as your homework to see how they're affecting your life. Because sometimes we break things up so badly on our own, there is no coming back from it. But what God removes, He always replaces with better friends. And I believe in you. And most importantly, God believes in you. So rise up today. What are you staying stuck in? Have you put a spouse above yourself? Yes, we always put a love a spouse before ourselves biblically. But if you put it above yourself with your relationship with God, because that's the question. If you're moving in one direction and your heart is pulling and someone else is pulling in another, that's going to slow you down. So you need to go to God for guidance and wisdom and have the discernment to move when He tells you to move. So today I pray that your senses are activated on here to hear Him so clearly because He's always speaking. that your eyesight may be activated to see things that you've never seen before. And as always, friends, he's ready and waiting. He died and rose on the third day to redeem us from our sins. And he left the advocate, the Holy Spirit, behind to live inside of us, to give us the power and authority to cast down the evil around us and to rise in power through him. So you have the choice today. It's yours. Which one will it be? I love you, and I would love to hear from you. So follow for the contact information next. Reach out. Give me your prayer requests. Let's stand together in the gap. Let's break off generational curses. Let's break off bloodline curses. And let's be involved in things that are greater than us. Nothing gives greater joy than giving back to those people in need. Advocates for Africa is my favorite mission. I've done missionary work with them in Rwanda. And I'm going to tell you what, that, my friends, broke off a hardened heart and an idolization of money to give back. $39 a month feeds, gives someone school. It's amazing. You're actually giving them an opportunity to live with clean water, healthy living. And then you've got Happy Horizons Children's Home, rescuing sexually exploited little girls. In the show notes, you'll find those links. Open your heart and give. Until next time, friends, remember, you're not broken. You may be being pressed, but God's grace is in every moment. I love you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on Grace in the Breaking. If this episode spoke to your heart, please remember to follow, download, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement right now. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. As I close, I want to leave you with this reminder, 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. So no matter what season you're walking through, you are not alone. And there is always grace in the breaking. For more information, resources, or to connect with me, visit graceinthebreaking.com or email me at info@graceinthebreaking.com. Until next time, friends, stay rooted in faith, hold on to hope, and remember that there is grace in the breaking.